it says, in some respects, Dr. Westcott's Order of the Golden Dawn was a byproduct of a much older fraternity called the Rosicrucian Society of England. Now, before I even tell you about the Rosicrucian Society of England, which came on out of the 1300s, which is so friggin' profound and weird, even the Catholic Church, I'll tell you that, even they are astounded by, they're lost about somebody who happened to be born again and again. You know, he was supposed to die and he was still there and all this. But anyway, here's the deal. What do they call that? Zenith? Not zenith. There's another word for it. Life. But anyway, here's the story. He's a coroner for England, as they call it, the English crown. He's a coroner, and he's zooming a body. You know, is it resuming or a zooming?
Zooming.
You know, he's gonna, you know, embalm the body, I guess. And he's going through the clothing. And in this coat pocket of this guy, he finds this piece of paper. And when he opens it up, he looks at it and looks at it, and he spies that, gee whiz, this seems like an old piece of parchment, and it seems like something to do with the occult. Now, he knew one guy, and his name was McGregor Mathers. And he was a sergeant in the Army. So he calls him on the phone. He says, you got to come over and check this out. Tell me what you think this is. So McGregor comes over, and he decides that, yes, this is for real. This is a real thing. So him and Westcott get together, and they decide to try to do something with it. Well, all of a sudden, they get a letter. Just comes out of nowhere. They get a letter. This is the story. I'm not, you know, this is how this started. This is what they still maintain today. I'm not making none of this up. And they get a letter from a lady from Germany, and her name is Anna Springdale, or Springdale. And she says, you have been commissioned to begin a new order. And you will call the Order of the Golden Dawn. So it's not order like do this. It's like a club, you know, an order. You know what I mean in that sense?
Yeah.
Not, you know, it's like a group. Order means group, you know. Okay. So she left an address. So the two of these guys weren't poor, and they were excited enough. They took a plane or a boat or some damn thing. They went to the address in Germany. But there was no address there. It was just a vacant piece of land. So that was the end of this Anna Springdale. So they go back to England, and they begin to start manipulating or studying this this thing. And they had a little secret club that started, you know. There's 5 or 6 of them, you know. Before you know it, there was movie stars involved, couple politicians, you know, kind of like the Masonic stuff, you know. And they discovered that it was a ritual, and if they did the ritual correctly, who the hell knows what was going to happen, you know. Kind of like a recipe. You see, a ritual is like a recipe, you know. If you follow the recipe right, you know, you get grandma's favorite chocolate cookies, you know. So they're stuff, you know, they're doing it in that sense. Well, here comes this guy who's notorious today. I ain't even going to say his name. He comes along and he pretty much took over. And he pretty much started directing how it should go. Now, I think McGregor Mathers wasn't too pleased, you know, but they ended up having rules and regulations like any club, you know, and different merits or degrees, you know, just like the Masonics, they have like 23 degrees. And it says that this guy went from 0 all the way on, he went real quick and went all the way to the top and everything. Anyway, they were called the Order of the Golden Dawn. And according to this one book, the Order of the Golden Dawn was a byproduct of a much older fraternity dating back to the 1300s. Well, the 1300s is where St. Francis come out of. See what I'm saying? And also, somebody else must mention another big wig, Rosicrucian, of course, Father Rosicrucian. Now you gotta see, it gets deep, because now you gotta understand the story of Father Rosicrucian. Capsule form. Am I boring you?
No, it's really interesting.
Okay. Father Rosicrucian was a guy who his parents owned a lot of money. They're from Italy. And they wanted him to be this and that, but he wanted to be a monk. But he didn't want to be a regular monk. He wanted to wear bare feet. Well, you ever seen them cement statues in nurseries? I know you've seen them. God, I used to have one right here. Well, here's one right here. These suckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got the bird on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the reason the bird's on his shoulder is because it was said that animals were attracted to them. Animals loved him. He'd feed the animals, go barefooted, didn't eat or ate carrots, whatever, And he wanted to establish his own order, which you got to get approval from the Pope himself. Well, his parents finally gave in, and allowed him to do his thing, but he wouldn't take their money. He was humble jumbo, and all of this. Well, turns out he had two other guys. I think one was his cousin. Somebody was somebody else. And they got deep. I mean, these guys didn't allow, this is Gnosticism. They didn't allow any knowledge to be forbidden. They believed in every single kind of knowledge there was. Not necessarily believed in it, but believed that it should be explored before it should be expelled, you see. So they were what you call totally open-minded. They were going nuts on it, And they decided that one would go in one part of the earth. This sounds like a fairy tale. One would go in another part of the earth, and one would go, oh, and by the way, they come from Germany.
More Germans.
Well, they were Italian, Rosicrucian was, I guess, but no, I guess Rosicrucian was German. I don't know, but anyway, they went everywhere, the three of them, and their deal was secrecy. Don't tell nobody nothing, just go out and learn, and then once a year come back, and they built a tomb under the ground, hidden, and this is where they would meet once a year and share their wealth of knowledge and everything. Story goes that Rosicrucian heard about this group of people that had the art of divination down to a pat. They knew everything about divination. So he sought out them, and he worked and worked and worked to find out who they were. I mean, that was his whole life endeavor. I've got to find these people. Story goes, he finally found these people, and when he found them, they said, oh, we've been expecting you. So he goes and he lives with these people, and these people teach him everything that he's supposed to know, and then he politely, excuses himself, and he goes. They go back to the tomb, and they write in all these different languages, all over the tomb walls, all over the ceiling and everywhere, all these weird symbols and everything, which only they understood, Hopefully they understood some of it.
Did they find this tomb, people?
This gets weird, yeah. There was a doctor named Dr. Felix. Him and his daughter claimed that they discovered the tomb. And they went in it, and everything that had been rumored about was in the tomb. And they found a coffin right in the middle of the tomb. And it said on the side of the coffin, I will rise again. Now, here's where it becomes unbelievable. It says they opened the coffin, airtight, I imagine, somebody stuck some holes in the bottom. There was a lamp still burning inside. Now that's impossible, as far as I'm concerned, unless there's some explanation. You know, there had to be.
What do you mean lamp? What kind of lamp?
I don't fucking know. I wasn't there, but they said, and the body was still in perfect formation. So here they open this up, and here's this guy. Now, this is what gets weird, where it conflicts with the Catholic Church. Doesn't conflict with the Catholic Church. See, the Catholic Church has a big problem with this, because he called himself RC, nothing to do with the cola, you know. He called himself RC, right? Well, RC all of a sudden starts out again somewhere else, and it goes on. There's like about 3 centuries where he keeps popping up, and the Catholic Church doesn't know what to do with it. It's all written in there. It's, you know, it's in their thingamajigger. I can show it to you one day, but it's all in there, and they talk about it. And there's like 10 initials of all these people who are all supposed to be interconnected or the same people or some jazz, like reincarnation or something. You know, probably more like reincarnation. It's more believable than somebody dying and, you know, rising again. I mean, that Jesus did that. I thought that thing was open and shut. You know? But anyway, the Golden Dawn is supposed to be a byproduct of that fraternity, which goes back centuries and centuries and centuries ago. See, because the Crusades, they what did they want? They wanted to go and take over Jerusalem. But Jerusalem was held by the Mideast. You know the story?
Yeah, kind of.
Basically, that's the story. That France and England and the Pope, all the English, all the Christians thought that Jerusalem ought to be theirs because that's where Jesus, you know. So they fought the Arabs and the Turks and the Syrians, and just like today, nothing's changed much. And they went there, but for 400 years, this war called the Crusades went on. And this is where the Knights Templar came in. They were the best fighters and the most religious people, and they were commissioned by the Pope and France and England and everything to be their soldiers and take over Jerusalem. Well, somewhere along the line they did it, and they got Jerusalem. But then the church didn't like their own Templars. Did you not know that? Oh yeah, they went after once they got Jerusalem over, they found things that, there's so many stories, but basically, the best I can do, because I don't know that much about it, but the best I can say is that they didn't like what the Templars found out, or they didn't like not to know what the Templars found out. I'll put it to you that way. Because the Knights Templars weren't confiding with their main source, with their leaders, with the ones that trained them and brought them there. It's like they found the holy chalice of Jesus. What do you call it?
Mm-hmm. Holy chalice?
You know, the
cup.
Yeah, what do you call that damn thing? I should say damn thing.
The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail. They found that and all this gold and all this other stuff, but other things that were so deep that it was contrary to what they were taught to believe. And so they decided to keep it a secret. And they left. Now, they were attacked, you know, but there's evidence of them getting a lot of them got out of there and went to America, to other parts of the earth. I don't know. I've heard several different stories. You don't know which one to believe, you know, but some of them did escape, and they escaped. Oh, this is where that story about Jesus and Mary, not Mother Mary.
Mary Magdalene.
Somebody having, I mean, the sacrilege, you know, what I'm hinting at, you know. I stopped because I don't even want to say it. but it was a